The most important thing to know about the conclusion for this paper is it's probably different than what you've been asked to do for most of your papers before. Many of you have been told that a conclusion is a place to summarize what you've already discussed in the paper. And that is one approach to writing a conclusion. But another approach, and one that's actually more common in the work world and the upper level academic world, is to take what you've been writing about and go somewhere with it. Apply it, think toward the future, look for some place to bring the idea that goes beyond the paper, kind of opens the door to life after the paper. So we're going to totally avoid that summary idea for our conclusion, and instead we are going to focus on looking toward the future. And what we want to do is take one of the four ideas that you've discussed in your paper and answer the question, how and why will I apply this idea to my own life in the future? And there's some notes here in the lecture that you should read through. They give you some good tips on problems to avoid. And then below that, there is a sample of exactly the kind of conclusion I'm talking about. What you can see as you read this paragraph, hopefully while I'm talking to you, you can see that it starts off telling the reader, here's the idea that I think is really going to be important in my future, and then it moves on to how and why. And all of this is clearly connected to agency. So you're going to need to use the word and concept of agency throughout the conclusion, and you're going to want to talk about the idea from one idea from your paper, but constantly connecting that idea to where you're going to go with it. So more than half the paper should be, more than half the paragraph should be about you, not what you've already said in the paper. Yes, you are going to need to talk about one of the ideas that you've already discussed in your paper, but only in the sense of setting it up for talking about what you're going to do with it. So you can see in this paragraph, we get some discussion of Grande, but then it goes to me. Then we get a little more look at Grande, and then it goes to me and my life. So it's sort of the example from your paper. In this case, the example is Grande. In your paper, it could be the music video, the commencement speech, the personal experience, whatever it is. You're going to get this sort of back and forth, a conversation going between the idea about agency from your paper and your own future. As you look at the sample, you'll see there's comments here in blue, green, and red on the side to give you feedback, ideas about what's going on in the paragraph. But you've got to take the time to carefully read this paragraph as you work on your conclusion. Unlike the other parts of the paper, this part of the paper does not have that form that you used for your body paragraphs. You're going to be typing this draft, your draft of this conclusion, right into your paper. So you're really going to have to use this sample either up on your screen so you can go back and forth and look at it, or print it out and have it on your desk so you can look at it and compare what you're doing while you're writing. You don't want to just write from the top of your head. You want to be looking at the sample, looking at the rubric as you draft your conclusion.